This page is the front cover of Volume 3 of 64 magazine, costing £3.95. It's shouting, Nintendo 100% action and new. The big headline is, Mission Impossible, suggesting a feature on the game. There's a line asking, got an N64? Then get this, and choose to accept it. It also boasts, every new 64 game reviewed. Nigga this. Game titles mentioned include ISS64 being called the best football game ever, along with Mario Kart 64, Killer Instinct Gold, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, The Glory of St. Andrews, and even Doraemon. Then there is War Gods, described as the N64's first 3D fighter, knocked out in round 1. Down below are listed Resident Evil 64, Yoshi's Island, Quake, and Castlevania 64. Finally, it mentions Solved, over 25 pages of tips for Mario 64, Blast Core and Shadows. The cover image is dominated by a shadowy figure's face, presumably related to Mission Impossible. It looks like a packed issue with a focus on new N64 releases and tips for some popular titles. This page is an advertisement spread. On the left, it's pushing Mario Kart 64 with the slogan, Keep road rage off the streets, and Peach and Wario in carts. The bottom text boasts it as, the most competitive, addictive, wide-open racing action ever. On the right, it's an ad for 64 magazine itself, shouting, Nintendo 100% action, and promising every new N64 game reviewed. It shows a chow-tetic race scene featuring Mario, Wario, Donkey Kong, Bowser, Peach, Yoshi, Toad and Luigi, and even a train and a Lakitu character on a cloud in the background. It's clearly trying to show the magazine covers all the big N64 titles. Volume 3 of the magazine previews and reviews a variety of N64 games. The cover story is International Superstar Soccer 64, with a review on page 40. Other game reviews include Resident Evil 64, page 06, War Gods, page 28, and Mario Kart 64, page 38. The preview section highlights upcoming titles, such as Yoshi's Island 64, The Legend of Zelda 64, Extreme G, and Kirby's Air Ride. Additional content includes a Blast Core feature, a Cheat Central section, a Shadows of the Empire guide, and a Super Mario 64 walkthrough. The issue concludes with an index on page 96, offering a guide to all reviewed N64 games. This issue features a welcome from new editor and then Norsadie McDermott, highlighting his gaming history. News includes a potential N64 Metroid game, described as a dark, alien-esque adventure, possibly releasing late 1997 or summer 1998. Capcom is bringing a gory, true-to-PlayStation original Resident Evil to the N64, promising limb-ripping and exploding heads. Nintendo's E3 pre-show publicity mentions Banjo-Kazooie, then called Dream, by Rare, with a hint of a third character alongside Mario and Fox McCloud. Japanese N64 game prices are falling, which may lower UK prices. Finally, Bandai, after merging with Sega, plans to develop games for the N64, potentially including franchises like Dragon Ball and Mobile Suit Gundam. The issue also lists contributors with their first video game experiences. This page is all about NTSC and PAL differences on the N64. Turns out the UK consoles aren't quite as good straight out of the box compared to the US and Japanese ones, especially when it comes to sound and connectivity. If you're importing an NTSC console, you'll want to look at SCART converters to get the best picture on your telly. The 64DD, that disk drive add-on, is delayed again, which is causing headaches for games like Street Fighter 2i, as it's too big for a standard cartridge. Games like Mother Earthbound and Zelda were supposed to be launch titles for the 64DD. But who knows now? Sega Saturn is trying to fight back by slashing its price to compete with the N64, tempting players with arcade conversions like Sega Rally and Fighters Megamix. Quake 64 is being talked about, and the 64DD could be a game changer for multiplayer and bigger games, with talk of different versions of Quake for cartridge and disc. Finally, Earthworm Jim 64 is in development by Interplay and Viz Software. Plenty to think about for N64 owners. Shigeru Miyamoto discusses Mario 64's development, emphasizing surprise and avoiding repetition, while also providing updates on Zelda 64 and the 64DD. The article then lists upcoming N64 game release dates for the UK, Japan, and the USA, highlighting titles like Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, and Yoshi's Island 64. Dr. Desperate's Obscure Review Corner, reviews import titles, including mahjong and baseball games, all primarily in Japanese. The article also lists games compatible with the Rumble Pack and Controller Pack. Charts reveal the top-selling N64 games. Finally, the article details the use and benefits of the Controller Pack for saving game data, and announces GoldenEye will feature a 4-player mode. This page highlights a few key Nintendo 64 offerings. The Shining showcases premium, chrome-plated consoles and controllers. A gameplay advert dominates, promoting themselves as Britain's largest mail-order supplier, with competitive prices, 48-hour delivery, and an unbeatable service guarantee. They're selling 64 bundles with popular games like Mario Kart and Super Mario 64, along with individual game titles and various peripherals. A tempting Virtual Boy offer is also featured. Beyond the sales, there's a top 5 Nintendo Babes list, and some news snippets, including praise for Konami's ISS Pro, UK developer SN Systems, Nintendo of America's apology to third-party developers, and rumors surrounding Duke Nukem and Tomb Raider 2. The gameplay advert concludes with sales details and an order form. This When I'm 64 Letters section features reader feedback. One letter discusses the N64 price drop after purchase, with the magazine noting the inherent risk in tech. Another highlights American 64 criticism, countered with optimism for future game quality. A star letter addresses concerns about American import compatibility and updates, with the magazine offering reassurance. The magazine defends its Turok review, explaining its positive preview was a preview, and promising in-depth reviews later. A product advertisement for N64 peripherals like memory cards and cables is included. Finally, the section provides instructions on submitting letters, emphasizing they're read but not all replied to individually, and no self-addressed envelopes are needed. This page is all about the upcoming Mission Impossible game on the N64. They're framing it like a proper spy briefing, with Tom Cruise as the bloke on screen, from the blockbuster film. Apparently, our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to turn this movie into a top Nintendo 64 game. They're keen to point out it shouldn't just be a mindless shooter, but something a bit more exciting and suspenseful, trying to keep the star, Cruise, happy with all the details. They even mention a self-destructing tape, just like in the film, with a 5-second countdown. Looks like they're trying to capture the proper spy feel of the movie on the N64, rather than just making another run-of-the-mill action game. There's a screenshot too, looks like that polygonal chap with the gun is supposed to be Ethan Hunt himself. Level Pegging in 64 magazine previews the Mission Impossible game, detailing 6 missions. Players will experience classic spy scenarios like an embassy reception, preventing a nuclear sale, and infiltrating CIA HQ. Ethan Hunt will also break into IMF HQ, battle on a TGV train, and face a final confrontation in a mysterious location. The game boasts advanced AI called Stull, promising realistic character reactions based on player actions. Every character has a field of view and responds accordingly, potentially creating dynamic gameplay. Developed by Ocean of California, with roots going back to early 1996, the game aims to emulate the movie experience, with head designer Mark Rogers even having access to the film set. This page continues the feature on Mission Impossible. It highlights the game's impressive AI, dubbed Stull, which aims to make characters react realistically to your actions as Ethan Hunt. The developers, Ocean of California, emphasize the depth of interaction and conversations within the game, and how your behavior impacts other characters. They believe the N64's power is key to achieving this level of detail and free-thinking characters, with one developer quoted saying, "The N64 is a fantastic and amazing machine with power second to none." They also mention the game's espionage feel and Tom Cruise's influence. Alongside this game preview, there's an advert for Blaze brand N64 accessories. They're showing off their memory cards, a universal game adapter, controller extension cable, SCART and video cables, and AVIV cable. It's all about plugging in and getting connected to your N64, with their range of add-ons. This article discusses the design of the Mission Impossible N64 game. The game emphasizes stealth and espionage, staying true to the franchise. The plot adapts the film's narrative with added surprises. Due to the N64's cartridge limitations, the game uses in-game storytelling instead of full-motion video. Notably, the game's protagonist doesn't resemble Tom Cruise due to image control considerations, resulting in a character design that is a blend of Mark Rogers and John Travolta. The article also highlights Mission Implausible moments, showcasing the franchise's over-the-top elements like the use of rubber masks and outlandish survival scenarios. A mission fact box includes guest stars from the original TV series, such as William Musinara and Joan Collins, showing appreciation for the source material. This page continues the article on the making of Mission Impossible for the N64. They discuss the texture mapping of Tom Cruise's face, and how it ended up being a cross between the designer and John Travolta for the in-game character. The article delves into game mechanics like disguises, guard takedowns, and environmental storytelling within the embassy setting. They highlight the sound design and music, mentioning Lalo Schifrin's theme, and a potential U2 remix. The developers are also planning tie-ins with the second Mission Impossible film. The page also includes an import zone advert for us, Nintendo 64 consoles, at £149, and import Nintendo 64 and PlayStation games. When 64 games listed include Mario 64, Mario Kart, Killer Instincts Gold, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Pilot Wings, Perfect Striker, Human Grand Prix, War Gods, Wave Race 64, Wayne Gretzky 3D Hockey, Blast Corps, Doom 64, Star Fox, Star Wars, Turok Dinosaur Hunter and Dark Rift, all priced at £59.99, except Perfect Striker and War Gods at £64.99. They are also advertising a Nintendo 64 Chrome console and the game Dr. Viz 64, both at call for price. PlayStation import games listed include Rage Racer, Final Fantasy, Bushido Blade, Soul Edge and Time Crisis, with readers told to ring for latest. The advert includes contact details for Import Zone in Canterbury. Finally, there is a coming soon section mentioning Mission Impossible, GoldenEye 007, Yoshi's Island 64, and Duke Nukem. 64 Magazine's review section begins with import reviews, featuring titles like the 3D beat-em-up War Gods, the family-friendly Doraemon, and the disparaged The Glory of St. Andrews. UK updates revisit import titles for their UK releases, including Mario Kart 64, ISS 64, Killer Instinct Gold, and a potentially flawed Mortal Kombat trilogy. The magazine's scoring system is explained in the awards, using a percentage-based system with strict categories from gold medal, 95% plus, to below 20%, avoid. Box Clever covers the review format and a question about N64 usage. PAL Performance discusses UK version optimization, and the Ratings explains their icon-based rating system. This page presents a review of the fighting game War Gods on the N64. It's described as a 3D beat-em-up from Midway and Eurocom, already out as an import, and priced at a hefty £74.99. The review, titled, "Call This Lot Gods," is a bit mixed. The reviewer jokes about the characters and their names, like Ahaukin, Anubis, Sisai 5, Vallah, Grox, Tuck, Maximus, Pagan, Vudok and Joe Warhead, suggesting they are a strange bunch. They mention the game feels very much like Mortal Kombat, especially with the special moves and the blood splatters. Combos are also present, similar to MK. There's a $64,000 question box, which lists some positives, like impressive backgrounds and special effects, and characters that look fairly realistic. However, it also points out negatives, saying nothing is there that couldn't be done on the PlayStation or Saturn, criticizing the pathetic use of 3D mode and unimpressive sound. The memory options are listed as none for both memory and controller pack. The screenshots showcase in-game action with character names like Valor, Anubis, Ahaukin, Psi-5, and bosses like Grox, and also Warhead and Voodoo, with captions highlighting specific moves and gameplay mechanics, such as trap moves and orbital attacks, and the effectiveness of the Quake Punch. One caption even mentions the fatalities can be extremely painful. War Gods, a 3D beat-em-up from Midway and Euro.com, is reviewed unfavorably. The game, priced at £74.99, is described as a sad attempt to emulate Mortal Kombat, featuring gore, fatalities, and a convoluted backstory involving a power-granting substance called ore. The review highlights the roster of fighters, each with unique, violent attacks. However, the orgasm section criticizes the controls, particularly the 3D button and analog stick, which are deemed unresponsive and hindering movement. The review suggests reconfiguring the controls, and notes that the game feels clunky despite its initial visual appeal, similar to Mortal Kombat. War Gods for the N64 receives a harsh review, criticized for being a poor imitation of Mortal Kombat with subpar 3D graphics. The game features 12 fighters in 8 arenas, but the controls, particularly the AC buttons, are deemed cumbersome. The reviewer slams the audio, gameplay, and lasting appeal, resulting in a disappointing overall score of 59%. Alternatives like Killer Instinct Gold and Mortal Kombat Trilogy are suggested. A second opinion echoes the sentiment, calling the game dated. The review also includes humorous sidebars and advertisements for US and Japanese N64 consoles, import games like Star Fox and Doom, and various accessories. This review slams the Japanese import N64 game, Doraemon, calling it a blatant and inferior ripoff of Super Mario 64. The reviewer finds striking similarities in control and level design, but criticizes Doraemon for being a shallow and uninspired experience. Characters like Doraemon, Nobita, and others are present, each with unique abilities, and a Super Doraemon Kart section is included. The review highlights the game's target audience as younger children, noting that Japanese language knowledge isn't necessary. However, the overall assessment is negative, with the reviewer deeming the puzzles obvious and the gameplay unengaging. The game receives a low score of 50%, with the bottom line labeling it a Mario 64 clone in all but playability. The review concludes by suggesting players stick with Super Mario 64, especially considering Doraemon's higher import price. Nausa. This page reviews the N64 game, The Glory of St. Andrews. It opens with a playful quote referencing Tiger Woods and Spartacus, setting a light tone. The game is criticized for its $64,000 question, highlighting the cleverish use of the analog stick, miserable graphics, and cheesy music. The review notes golf's growing popularity thanks to Tiger Woods and its status in Japan. It describes the game's mechanics, particularly the irritating method of a pulsating circle for timing shots using the analog stick, which is deemed imprecise and prone to slices into the rough. The graphics are compared unfavorably to the Super Nintendo, and the controls are called badly flawed, with the game looking like a Super NES leftover. Memory options are mentioned as storing scores and player names, but the controller pack is listed as N/A. There's a humorous side note called Men at C&A, commenting on golf fashion. Phil King's second opinion reinforces the negative view, criticizing the lack of precision and dodgy graphics. Alternatives are suggested as Actua Golf and Nintendo's own golf game. The game receives poor ratings, 2 Ns for graphics and audio, and 3 Ns for gameplay and lasting challenge. The overall verdict is a very low 25%, summarized with the phrase, "The word mediocre was made for this feeble effort." The page also includes screenshots of gameplay and a bottom line box detailing the N64 controller keys used in the game. The next page is all about Mario Kart 64, under the UK update section. It's hailed as a sizzler, and they reckon it's back and still got the magic, giving it a stonking 94% overall. They've got sections on Grand Prix, Versus Mode, Time Trials, and Battle Mode, quickly explaining each one. Grand Prix is the standard race against the computer, Versus is for multiplayer madness, Time Trials is about beating your best time and racing against your ghost, and Battle Mode is the usual arena combat. There's a second opinion section, which reckons it's not quite as perfect as the original Super NES Mario Kart, but still brilliant fun. They've also got a PAL performance bit, mentioning the UK version is a tad slower with moderate borders, but it doesn't ruin the gameplay. The keys section shows the N64 controller layout for the game, detailing controls like accelerating, braking, jumping, changing music volume, and using power-ups. They suggest Wave Race and Human GP as alternatives. The ratings are top-notch across the board for graphics, audio, gameplay, and lasting challenge, all getting full marks. The summary concludes that it's debatable if it's better than the original Super NES game, but as that original was superb, this is still a winner. International Superstar Soccer 64 UK update receives a glowing 91% overall rating, hailed as the best football sim ever. The game, a conversion from Konami's J-League Perfect Striker, features improved camera angles, perfectly tuned gameplay, and a British-style commentary thanks to Badial and Skinner. Players can save leagues, tournaments, custom players, and formations. The review praises the responsive controls, multiplayer experience, even surpassing Mario Kart 64 and Star Fox, and dynamic midfield action enhanced by the analog control system. PAL performance is excellent, potentially faster than the Japanese version. Key controls are detailed. Alternatives like FIFA 64 are mentioned, with a low score for FIFA. With top marks in all categories, it's a must-have for N64 owners and football fans. Killer Instinct Gold for the N64 is praised as a strong entry and Nintendo's first 15 certificate game. The review highlights its blend of 2D and 3D fighting styles, drawing comparisons to Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, and Virtua Fighter. Gameplay focuses on combos, with a Jackie Chan movie on speed feel, rewarding violent moves. Despite using flat sprites, the high-resolution animation makes the fighters more realistic than those in Mortal Kombat. The game features updated characters and stages from the arcade version, and includes a training mode for practicing combos. The UK PAL version's performance is only slightly slower than the NTSC import. The review gives high marks for graphics and audio, with strong ratings also for gameplay and lasting challenge. The game receives an overall score of 75% and is recommended as the go-to beat-em-up for N64 owners. Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the N64 receives a poor review, scoring only 62%. The review criticizes the game's dated feel, calling it creaking and boring. While boasting a vast roster of characters, the graphics are deemed subpar, even compared to the SNES versions. The gameplay is repetitive and unchanged from previous iterations, with special moves still relying on simple directional inputs. Despite including all the expected gory fatalities, the review finds the overall experience lacking. The graphics, gameplay, and lasting challenge score modestly. The summing up section advises players to seek better fighting games. A second opinion further emphasizes the game's outdated nature, recommending alternatives like Killer Instinct Gold. This page is a subscription advert for 64 magazine. Saying it's a deal you can't miss. They're banging on about a 35% saving. The magazine cover shows Mission Impossible 64 and flags up articles on ISS 64 and War Gods. They're promising to deliver it right to your door, a fixed price so it won't go up, and some special letter just for subscribers. They've got prices for 6 or 12 issues for us here in the UK, Europe and worldwide, and if you go for the 12-issue deal, you get a 256k memory card thrown in. There's a form to fill in to subscribe, asking for your details and how you want to pay, check or credit card, and a bit for gift subscriptions too. It's all about getting you to sign up. Cheat Central offers a collection of N64 game cheats. The site provides controller layouts for reference. War Gods features cheats for hidden menus, easy fatalities, and playable characters Exa and Grox. Blast Core has a Deadly Doors cheat for instant demolition. Killer Instinct Gold unlocks a sky level with controller inputs. Mortal Kombat Trilogy's Toasty Topper appears on Starbridge. Doom 64 boasts an ultimate cheat code for levels, maps and more, alongside an abso-bloody-lootly everything and view ending code. Cruisin' USA allows unlocking secret vehicles like a police car and school bus. Turok Dinosaur Hunter introduces Quack Mode, show enemies, and Purty colors for unique gameplay effects. This page details part 2 of a playing guide for the Shadows of the Empire game on the N64, focusing on locating challenge points. It's broken down into 2 sections, the first covering Mos Eisley and Beggar's Canyon, and the second, the Imperial Freighter Saprosa. For Mos Eisley and Beggar's Canyon, it gives instructions for 12 challenge points, describing locations and actions to find them, like using speed ramps, navigating courtyards, tunnels, alleys, and even Sarl ACC pits. The guide emphasizes using first-person view and airfoils for steering while on speeder bikes, and warns about enemy swoop bikers. The second section covers the Imperial Freighter Saprosa, which is described as a homage to the opening of Star Wars. It guides players through 8 challenge points within the freighter, focusing on corridors, rooms with computer banks, rotating turbines and lifts, with advice on dealing with stormtroopers and sentry droids, suggesting blaster or pulse guns for immobilizing enemies. It highlights the level's strategy is less important due to the abundance of power-ups, and relatively easy difficulty, compared to finding challenge points. This page continues the Shadows of the Empire playing guide, now moving into the Sewers of Imperial City level, detailing challenge points 1 through to 10. It talks you through navigating the maze-like sewers, advising on using your jetpack to hover and blast Coruscant guards. There's mention of navigating blades, waste rooms with Dianogas, nasty creatures those, underwater tunnels, filtration shafts and spinning tunnels. The guide gives specific instructions for each challenge point, like finding switches, exploring alcoves and using security keys. Then, it moves on to the end-level bosses. First up is the Saprosa end-level boss-loader droid, which surprisingly they reckon is quite easy to defeat by circling it and weakening it with your pulse gun, focusing on its head and back as weak points. Finally, it covers the Ix's Palace end-level boss giant Dianoga, describing it as a massive trash compactor-type beast. The advice here is to target its eye tentacle, which regenerates, and to keep an eye on your oxygen level in the gloom. They even suggest turning up the TV contrast to help see it better. Apparently, it's tricky but beatable if you are patient and keep moving, but losing a life or two against it is deemed acceptable. This guide details the Ix's Palace level in Shadows of the Empire. Luke, Lando and Chewie, aided by Dash, are escaping after rescuing Leia. The level features 10 challenge points, including hangar battles against droids and wall blasters. Players must navigate timed doors, use jetpacks for tricky areas, and solve puzzle-like cog sections. Expect to find secret doors with useful pickups. The level culminates in a fight against the Gladiator droid, a formidable boss with powerful attacks. The guide suggests constant movement, strategic weapon use, especially disruptors, and exploiting its weaknesses. The droid has 3 phases, including a final form as a flying head. If your jetpack fails, a collapsing floor leads to a maze filled with droids and opportunities to chip away at the boss. This guide covers Rare's N64 game, Blast Corps, a destructive carnival, featuring over 50 levels. General tips highlight level completion indicators on the map, green/red, speed bursts, Z-button braking, and Thunderfist and Cyclone suit techniques. It advises against quitting during end credits to unlock secret levels. Achieving platinum times requires gold medals on all planets. Backlash off balance is crucial for secret levels and gliding. Prioritize destroying target buildings in time trials. A cheat involves jamming backlash against a building and repeatedly pressing Z to collapse it, though its practicality is limited. To reach the moon, complete all courses and find all scientists. This guide offers strategies for various levels in Rare's Blast Corps for N64. It provides walkthroughs, platinum time targets, and tips for several levels. Easy levels include Simeon Acres, Ramdoza, Argent Towers, Missile Carrier, Backlash Power Slide, Havoc District, Skyfall and J-Bomb, Gold Medal Tips, Carrick Point, Missile Carrier, Ballista, and Blackridge Works, Ramdoza. Training levels include J-Bomb, Sideswipe, Jackhammer, Backlash, Power Slide, and Thunderfist Plus, Somersaults. Medium difficulty levels featured are Beaten Tracks, Train, Ramdoza, Crane, Ballista, and Tempest City, Missile Carrier. The guide emphasizes vehicle usage, strategic obstacle clearing, and collecting secrets, with visual aids from screenshots. This guide explores level strategies for Blast Corps, covering both medium and hard difficulty stages. Medium levels include Echo Marches, Missile Carrier, Ironstone Mine, Sideswipe, Thunderfist Ramdoza, Outland Farm, Backlash, Cromlech Court, Missile Carrier, and Shuttle Gully, Skyfall Ramdoza. These levels utilize various vehicles and techniques for efficient completion. Hard levels, like Ebony Coast, Ramdoza, TNT, Diamond Sand, Backlash, TNT, and Crystal Rift, Ramdoza, introduce greater challenges, including complex layouts, specific target destruction, like skyscrapers, reactor, and time-sensitive objectives. Each level guide provides platinum times, level overviews, gameplay tips, and locations of collectibles like satellite antennas and scientists. This Blast Corps guide offers level-specific strategies. Obsidian Mile needs straight-line Cyclone suit runs. Glory Crossing benefits from Backlash's maneuverability. Ember Hamlet demands ballista precision, or ramming, due to limited ammo. Bonus levels have shortcuts. Jade Plateau uses Ramdoza through trees. Orion Plaza demands TNT placement. Marine Quarter and Sleek Streets suit the van for speed and control. Kipling Plant is about cylinder awareness. Scaria offers a shortcut with the van. Twilight Foundry emphasizes RDU activation with Ramdoza. Angel City is a tight backlash challenge. A semi leads to the antenna. Oyster Harbor, the toughest, involves ballista and Ramdoza for precise destruction and platforming. Salvage Wharf involves Ramdoza for damage, and a linked RDU system. The antenna is hidden. Cooter Creek uses Starsky's car for corner cutting. The antenna and scientist are found by using TNT. This guide details strategies for achieving platinum medals in Blast Corps bonus levels. It covers various levels with specific tips for each. Glander's Ranch requires shortcut use. Silver Junction demands crate destruction. Corvine Bluff favors Starsky's car and river cuts. Lizard Island involves sea hovering and target anticipation. Baboon Catacombs needs route planning and warp gate avoidance. Cobalt Quarry benefits from the A-Team van. Moraine Chase uses shortcuts. Mica Park involves efficient building smashing. Morgan Hall requires careful backlash control. Geode Square's silver balls are easily shattered. Selene Watch features rotating lights and tide changes. Dagger Pass has hidden antennas. Magma Peak's volcano demands careful target approach. Dark Heartland needs missile collection and quick routes. Falchion Field is considered easy. Gibbons Gate is another Pac-Man-style maze. Antenna locations are provided for several levels. Gibbonsgasche Windelcrew. This page is a playing guide for Super Mario 64, covering Course 7 Lethal Lava Land and Course 8 Shifting Sandland. For Lethal Lava Land, it details getting all 7 stars, including Boil the Big Bully, which involves pushing Big Bully into the lava, and Bully the Bullies, where you defeat 3 small bullies. Other stars include the 8-coin puzzle inside Bowser's sliding puzzle, Red Hot Log Rolling, involving riding a log, Hot-Foot It into the volcano to reach the highest platform inside the volcano, and Elevator Ride in the volcano to collect the 2nd star within. Finally, there's the Collect 100 Coins star. For Shifting Sandland, it covers 2 stars. In the Talons of Big Bird, where you steal the Big Bird's star across the stone maze, and Swining atop the pyramid to collect the star from the pyramid's top. The guide also mentions the maximum coin score in Lethal Lava Land, detailing where to find all the yellow and red coins. This guide details how to obtain stars in Super Mario 64's Dire Dire Docks and Switch Caps courses. In Dire Dire Docks, requires 30 stars, players can earn stars by boarding Bowser's sub, correctly opening treasure chests in the current, and collecting 8 red coins using poles. Switch Caps, requires 10 stars, offers the Tower of the Wing Cap, where the wing cap is used to collect red coins and reach a star. Finally, in Cavern of the Metal Cap, requires Bowser's first key. Players utilize the metal cap to navigate a water-filled cavern, defeating enemies, and activating a switch to obtain the final star. Snowman's World, accessible after obtaining 50 stars and the 2nd big key, features a giant living snowman and icy environments. The level offers 6 stars. Snowman's Big Head requires reaching the snowman's top, achievable by cannon or platforming. Chill with the Bully involves defeating the ice bully by punching him off the ice sheet. In the Deep Freeze, tasks players with collecting a star inside a puzzle ice cube. Whirl from the Freezing Pond involves using a flower head to reach a snowbank. Shell Shredding for red coins is a red coin hunt. Finally, Collect 100 coins rewards collecting at least 100 coins, easily attainable with 106 available. This guide for Super Mario 64 details several star locations and Bowser's first course. Into the Igloo instructs players on finding a caged star using a Koopa shell. Collect 100 coins, emphasizes coin gathering, and offers a breakdown of coin locations. Wet Dry Land involves water level manipulation using diamond switches, with hints about secret interactions with water depth. Shocking Arrow Lifts requires navigating lifts while avoiding electroballs. Top of the Town focuses on reaching the highest point, using Koopa Troopers and boxes, while dodging a purple boss. Bowser Course 1, The Dark World, is introduced, detailing its traps, bridges, and flame jets. It also gives directions to get Red Coin 8 and the star. The guide concludes with instructions for the first Bowser fight. Grab his tail and throw him into spiked bombs. Upon defeat, Bowser gives the big basement key. This page continues the Super Mario 64 playing guide. It details several more stars. Secrets in the Shallows and Sky guides players to find special spots marked with red coins, advising to manipulate water levels using diamond switches to reach these areas. Express Elevator Hurry Up is about racing the wooden elevator for Star 4, requiring lowering the water and using Koopa Troopers to reach the top of a cage before the elevator rises. Go to Town for Red Coins is about collecting red coins in Secret Town, which is accessible via a wire mesh column after raising the water level, offering tips for reaching the town and finding all red coins, even mentioning using a cannon to access the area. Quick Race Through Downtown focuses on using the Vanish Cap in Secret Town to get the cage star quickly by draining the water and using the purple exclamation switch. Collect 100 coins as usual is about gathering 100 coins, recommending combining this with Star 5's objectives. Finally, Second Bowser Confrontation details the strategy to defeat Bowser in the second encounter, involving dodging his attacks, using bombs, and grabbing his tail to swing him into bombs again. Defeating him earns the second big key, which gives access to the castle's top floor. This magazine page previews upcoming N64 games. Yoshi's Island 64 is highlighted, promising a new 64-bit adventure with Shigeru Miyamoto's involvement. Other previews include Go! Go! Troublemakers, Shoot-'em-up/beat-'em-up hybrid, Extreme G, futuristic bike racing, and Lamborghini 64. Kirby's Air Ride is also mentioned. The most looking forward to section features Quake 64, hyped for its multiplayer potential. Other games previewed include Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero, Castlevania 64, and Earthworm Jim 3D. The page concludes with a list of coming soon titles, encompassing a variety of genres like fighting, golf, racing, and familiar titles like Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye 007, and Zelda DD, indicating a strong upcoming lineup for the N64. This page is all about Yoshi's Island 64. It's looking absolutely stunning, proper vibrant colors. They're calling it frighteningly colorful, which is about right. It's eye-popping stuff. This is Miyamoto's latest, of course, and it's playing like the Super NES classic, but this time it's a full 64-bit upgrade, proper 2.5D graphics as they're calling it. Yoshi's still swallowing enemies with his tongue, laying eggs, all that good stuff. Looks like Yoshi's going solo this time, no sign of Mario needing rescuing just yet anyway. The screenshots show off bits like collecting bonus flowers by firing eggs, using a cursor to lob eggs around, proper squishy-squashy action for enemies, some kind of jungle hut level, and those star circles marking the level halfway point. Bit of a hint there for level design, it seems. It's down as a summer release in Japan, and for us here in the UK, we are looking at the fourth quarter of '97. Right at the bottom there's a bit called Prospects, asking if it'll play well, and if bears are Catholic, proper daft questions. Go! Go! Troublemakers is an 64 platform action game developed by Treasure and published by Enix. The game, set for import release on June 27th, features Marina, a robot maid, who must rescue Professor Gumball from the locals of planet Nendor. The game is a mashup of genres, scrolling shooter, platformer, and beat-'em-up. Marina utilizes Nendoros as weapons, throwing them at enemies. The game promises explosions, large bosses, and a cartoonish art style. Screenshots evoke comparisons to Axelay and Nortype, but with a robot maid instead of a spaceship. While the Japanese style may not appeal to everyone, the game is recommended for fans of the genre, serving as a stopgap until Yoshi's Island 64 releases. This preview of The Legend of Zelda 64 highlights its impressive visuals, showcased through various screenshots. The Triforce remains central to the quest. While the release date is uncertain, with a potential slip to 1998, the cartridge version is emphasized for its action-oriented gameplay. Screenshots reveal Link in diverse environments, battling enemies with impressive graphical details, including reflections and underwater scenes. Link appears older, his power indicated by weapon color rather than status bars. The preview notes Link tracking enemies and exploring surroundings, along with his archery skills. One humorous caption highlights Link's desire to reach a pub before closing. The preview suggests Zelda 64 could solidify the N64's reputation, surpassing even Mario in terms of anticipated quality. This page is a preview for Extreme G on the N64. Blimey, another racer, eh? Acclaim are publishing it, and Probe are developing. It's down as a racer game type, and due for release in October in the UK. It's promising 4-player action, and looks like a futuristic racer. They're saying it's similar to Wipeout 2097, but for the N64, with weapons like missiles and phosphor flares, not just bananas like Mario Kart. They're boasting about roller coaster tracks and loads of weapons, with 12 tracks in total across spaceports and ancient city settings. The vehicles are described as futuristic bikes, a cross between ARX-TZ, 17,000 Ninja Nutter, and the bikes from Tron. Looks like it could be a proper adrenaline rush if they get it right. This page is an advert for a magazine called NetGamer, billed as the first magazine dedicated to interactive multiplayer PC gaming. It's pushing its first issue, promising in-depth internet, online, and network game news, previews, reviews, and playing guides. They're also chucking in a cover-mounted CD-ROM with game demos and patches, all for the princely sum of £4.95 from May 29th. Looks like they're trying to tap into the online PC gaming scene. Lamborghini 64, a racing game for the N64 from Titus, aims for impressive graphics to match its roster of luxury cars like Lamborghinis and Ferraris. The game features single and multiplayer modes, arcade, tournament, and time trial options, plus a secret mode. It will support the 64DD and Rumble Pack, offering variable weather, car damage, timed pit stops, and manual gear changes. Titus hopes it will compete with top N64 racers. Alongside this, there's an advert from Visions, a game retailer, offering discounted new and used games. They stock PlayStation and N64 consoles, UK, and import, universal converters, and accessories. They are advertising USA N64 consoles. They also list games like Star Fox 64 and Lamborghini 64. They offer next-day delivery from their Leeds location. A smaller ad for the Electronic Megastore is also present, with locations in Wellingborough and Hitchin. This page is a preview of Kirby's Air Ride for the N64, described as another old face from Nintendo making it to the console. It mentions that if Kirby had taken off earlier, we might have seen Kirby World 64 and Kirby Kart 64. The article highlights that Kirby's Air Ride, with the provisional title, has changed a lot since early trade show appearances, moving from a racing game to something more like Konami's Armadillo Racing. The game features a hoverboard-like mode of transport, focusing on skillful control for jumping through hoops and collecting stars. It mentions courses that aren't just on land, referencing potential water sections similar to Wave Race. The preview suggests the game might be a bit too kiddie for some, but emphasizes Nintendo's mastery of gameplay. Screenshots show Kirby riding a star-shaped board, and another of Kirby collecting a power-up, with humorous captions. Alongside the Kirby preview, there are smaller sections mentioning other games. Topal 2, Syndicate Wars, Actua Soccer 2, and Machine Hunter are listed, although these seem to be PlayStation titles mentioned in the context of the magazine's wider coverage. There's also a reservation copy section to subscribe to the magazine. 64 magazine previews, 3 upcoming N64 titles. Quake 64 promises a faithful port of the PC classic, focusing on multiplayer, with gory visuals and potential 64DD support for custom content. It's framed as a bigger, more intense Doom-like experience. Robotron X brings the classic arcade shooter to N64, promising improved performance over the PlayStation version, twin-stick controls, and a focus on fast-paced, action-packed gameplay with 200 levels. Finally, Earthworm Jim 3D aims to translate the quirky cartoon style of the original SNES game into a 3D environment, taking the hero on a subconscious journey with unique level designs and gameplay elements like a hoverboard. This page is a look at 2 upcoming Nintendo 64 titles. First up is Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero, a platform beat-em-up from Midway. They're saying it's the origin story of Sub-Zero, and will add an adventure element to the usual fighting. It seems they are hoping this will be more than just another simple platformer. The screenshots show Sub-Zero in what they are calling a dull metal room. The game is slated for release around November time. Next we have Castlevania 64 from Konami, described as an adventure game. This is the latest in the long-running series, this time on the N64, featuring Simon Belmont. They mention he's got a whip and crosses and a whole new set of moves. Apparently, there are 3 playable characters, including an unnamed girl. They haven't nailed down a release date yet, or even if it'll be on cartridge or 64DD disc. They seem to think it will be a hit but are wondering when we will actually get to play it. Trillicar. Finally, there's an advert for Paranormal Magazine with Uri Geller, offering a subscription deal. 64 Magazine reviews a range of N64 games, showcasing a diverse range of scores. Standout titles include Star Fox 64, 95%, Mario Kart 64, 94%, and Wave Race 64, 94%, praised for their exciting gameplay and visuals. Other highly rated games are Blast Corps, 88%, Shadows of the Empire, 88%, Pilot Wings 64, 89%, ISS 64, 91%, and Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, 82%. Conversely, games like The Glory of St. Andrews, 25%, Cruisin' USA, 31%, and FIFA 64, 29%, received scathing reviews. While some titles like Doom 64, 81%, and Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, 84%, offered decent experiences, others, such as Mortal Kombat Trilogy, 62%, NBA Hangtime, 60%, Doraemon, 50%, and War Gods, 59%, were met with mixed or negative reactions. This page is an advert from Excitement Direct, the Nintendo specialists, promoting various Nintendo 64 bundles, games, and accessories. They're pushing the N64 console bundled with Mario Kart 64, International Superstar Soccer 64, and Wave Race 64, all priced at £187.99. They are also offering coloured official N64 controllers for £26.99 each. There are special offers detailed, like getting an official coloured controller, or a SharkPad Pro 64 pad for £23.99 when buying specific bundles or games. Games like FIFA Soccer 64, Mario 64, Pilot Wings 64, Shadows of the Empire and Turok Dinosaur Hunter are listed alongside prices, as are accessories like memory cards, rumble packs and carry cases. The page also features a US Nintendo 64 section, offering a console, game and converter for £225, plus a Turok offer with Turok, and a memory card for £64.99. Towards the bottom, there's an order form and a section indicating they also buy and sell second-hand 64 games. It's a good snapshot of what you could get your hands on for your N64 back in the day, from a specialist mail order company.